Welcome to another episode of our Midweek conversation at First Baptist Sweetwater, where we strive to be the first responders of God's love. I'm sitting here today in Studio A with everyone's favorite shepherd boy, Teak Hamilton. Teak, how are you this morning?
I'm good.
Well, man, I am so glad to see you. Speaking of shepherd boys, we had several shepherds there Sunday.
We did, and they were really good shepherds.
I don't think they were all boys, but,
Nope. Which I'm fine with that.
What we're talking about is Sunday we had our children's program. It's an annual program that we do where our children lead us in worship through a musical that they've practiced throughout the semester during our midweek program that we call Kid X.
Right.
Kid X has been going on for a long time. Maybe not under that name.
No, it's always been Kid X since it started.
Yeah.
It used to, they did, I think, a Awanas and everything. I know RAs and GAs. There we go,
Yeah.
RAs and GAs.
Ras and gas.
But we redeveloped it and redesigned it to be Kid X.
Yeah.
Which stands for Extreme Kids, but we call it Kid X.
Okay. Well, maybe I should have asked. I was
Now
real
you
clear
know.
on that. But it's a program where our children are involved in music, eating together, games,
Bible
theme-related games, and Bible study.
Right.
And so it's all of it's based around a theme because that's how we do things in programming here. And so this is sort of the culmination of that for the fall semester, and then they usually do a spring program as well.
And they start practicing this one in October. Because September we usually have them leading in worship in another way, singing, something like that, and that's what they practice as far as music. But October and November is when they practice, and it's ready to go.
Well, it was pretty neat Sunday. They all had on, those that weren't in costume had on their
Better Together shirts.
Long sleeve red T-shirts with the theme for the semester, Better Together.
Yep, and such a cool text the next day from Eli Espinoza.
Right.
And he said that Izzy, his little girl, made him wash her shirt so she could wear it the next day to school. And which I'm glad that a kid is thinking about washing a shirt. When I was her age, I would have just said, all right, I'll leave it out and I'll put it on the next day.
Oh, but it was a fun day. I got to see some parents here that we haven't seen in a while. And of course, with pandemic situation, it's made things a little bit different. But it was a good day to be in worship and to experience that. And occasionally through all this, we experience a bit of what was normal or that we're most familiar with. And so that's kind of what I was thinking with Christmas season and Advent, that we might kind of move into that emotion and feeling where things start to feel a little bit better, or we start feeling better about things, I guess, even though there's a lot of changes in the way we're having to do things. But it was a good message, a very clever approach. God arrest ye merry gentlemen.
Arrest these married gentlemen.
Arrest these merry gentlemen. And Sergeant Joe Sabbath, I believe, was the primary character.
Man, that would date us understanding that, but I guarantee those kids understood that.
Normally you wouldn't think about adult humor being appropriate in church.
But it was.
But you'd have to be older to appreciate some of the sarcasm and some of the comments that they made.
Yep.
But
the kids wouldn't have caught it at all.
No, I don't think they did. But they did present it well. It was a really good message and a good chance for us to, like we talk about, let them take that role of leadership.
Right.
And I think it always helps us to think about the message a little bit differently, not just in the different form, but it's good for us to hear it from children.
Yeah, definitely. I think anytime you can get kids up there to tell the story, you experience it a different way. You hear it and you see it through their eyes. And so arguably they didn't write this, but they're still putting their emotion, their excitement into it. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And so and then I think the other thing, and I know that, I'm sure that I mention this every year, but it's also interesting for me to see those kids taking leads that were children, toddlers, when I first got here.
Right, yeah, moving up into those positions.
Yeah, so some of the solos or speaking parts are now done by kids who were just born after I got, or right before I got here, I think.
And even just coming in here now, we're sitting there in the office with Lisa talking about kids from previous musicals and remembering, some of them are graduating out of high school now.
Right.
And just talking about the memories we have and the moments that impress you and you remember and you will remember from here on out. And it'll be interesting to see what those are from this year's program, what the memories are and the memorable moments.
Well, and the other thing, as student minister, you get can size up your future and that one segment a couple of times a year anyways,
right.
To know kind of who's going to be coming into student ministry. And I know that very first time where we had a cluster of those kids who I knew were coming into youth ministry, I thought, I don't know who's going to fill their shoes, but we just continue to rock on. So it's really good. Sunday we celebrated the second Sunday of Advent, and that was for us the Advent Sunday of Peace. And we were talking just a moment ago before we came on air here that since there's not a message on Sunday that I do, I did work on a Bible study that is a download on our website, fbcsweetwater.org. You can find that Bible study there. But we didn't really talk much about the specific theme, but it's the theme of peace.
Right.
And it's one of my favorites because it does contrast the season.
Right. So much so. And because I think a lot of times we think of peace as in a world experience of peace or the absence of violence, but peace speaks more directly to us in a very individual way also at this time of year.
Right. One of the ways that I expressed that with some friends earlier is the Advent season kind of creates for me that opportunity of a space that's outside of a normal rhythm. In a lot of ways, it's because we're ramping up activities, but it's a different kind of activity and I have a different role.
Right.
And so the season or the week of peace is one of those is the week where I have the opportunity, I feel like, to kind of create space in my life. And so I really look at ways to evaluate some of the things that either I'm doing or some of my rhythms or some of the clutter that I have in my life, including headspace. I shared that as well as just clutter around me. That sense of peace kind of helps me dial back just a little bit and really puts me in a good frame of mind as we move into these last 2 weeks of Advent.
Yeah, I think this second week of peace helps you or gives you the opportunity to evaluate everything that's going on around you and everything that you've brought into your life and what you need to put out to experience peace. And so that's been something big for Stacy and me over the last, I don't know how many years now, of seeing what we do around this time of year and being able to cut some things out so that we don't have to deal with all the extras and it's not this chaos. We can just do what we want to do and enjoy and experience Advent in a more intentional way.
And that's I think you're right. And one of the ways that I expressed that was most often Advent season is about more when we should be making it about less.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make Lent out of Christmas.
Right.
Even though they're closely related and there's some thought that ought to go into that.
Right.
Some people get real tense about that though.
Right.
But that sense of peace and relaxing is not the right word for it. That's not a high enough value for that, I think. But just resting in what God is doing and how we can be attentive to that and listening and making adjustments or alignments, I guess, in our life.
Yeah, last year we figured out that you can't say yes to all the Christmas parties you're invited to.
Exactly.
Especially in ministry, and you know how this is.
Right.
You get invited to every Christmas party there is, and everybody has a Christmas party.
Right.
And so at some point, we had to just say, sorry, we can't make that one. Sometimes it's because there were two on top of each other. Sometimes it was because we're just tired of going.
Right.
And so you want time to not be worn out from the Advent season, but you want time to be able to just experience it on your own. So drive around and look at lights on your own and not have to go somewhere and take a gift and wrap and all that kind of stuff. It's great being invited to those. We really appreciate it, but sometimes you have to be able to say no, and that's what this week helps you evaluate.
Yeah, I don't think I've mentioned this last week. If I did, well, maybe everyone won't remember.
It was worth mentioning twice.
But I was rethinking about why I like the Thanksgiving holiday best. It's because there's no stress. There's a meal, and the preparation of that meal is the most stressful thing that goes on.
And then it's over.
And then the rest of it is because people, you think about what they talk about: food and napping,
And football.
and maybe football.
No, they talk about football.
And so with Christmas, I mean, it's even in that season, it seems like you're having to constantly resist the stress that's apparent,
Right.
either in your own experience or in the experience around you.
Right. We intentionally stopped everything and put everything back on, you like to say this, back on the whiteboard, and took everything off the whiteboard and then put things up intentionally, which led to even our Christmas lights this year. Put up new Christmas lights, different colors, how we did it, and took out some things, gave away some things, so we know exactly what we want up. And it made it a lot easier. I mean, outside of being on the roof in 32-degree weather.
Yeah, the one of two cold fronts we've had this fall.
Yeah, with the north wind. Luckily, that one didn't bring in ice.
Oh, mercy. Well, it's been a good week, and of course, we do staff meeting today, and we get to talk about things that are coming up. This Sunday, our worship choir will be leading us in worship, and so there's some different things that are involved there. One of the things that I try to emphasize during the Advent season is that all of these things that are around us are there to stimulate our thought about the coming of Christ.
Right.
And so I don't like doing it all in the same way, like you just mentioned, because I feel like if we do it always in the same way, we lose that edge, and we just kind of fall into a redundancy in our faith life eventually.
Right.
And so Sunday will be a different approach, something that's unique as far as the way that we worship and the way that the worship choir leads us, but it will be about one of my favorite things, music, for Christmas.
It's like basketball?
Yeah, no, true. But anyways, I hope that I hope that you'll join us, whether you join us in person or on live stream. I think that it'll be a meaningful time for you as you and your family continue to celebrate Advent with us. And then just today, we are working through our plans for candlelight, or for Christmas Eve, I should say. And we're coming up against some neat opportunities. And so just stay tuned to all of our social media and stuff. We're continuing to talk about it. We've got a pretty torrid pace over the next few days to put it all together, but it is going to be something that I think that we will come to appreciate, and could just be one of those things that stays with us for a while.
Yep, most definitely.
But anyways, we look forward to seeing you Sunday, whether you're with us live stream or in person. We'll see you then.
See ya.